I've always been intrigued by rules and discipline and codes. And more often than not, I get accused for not following rules or just going against the grain because I'm an artist or I see things in a different kind of way. And to be honest, I have to just be quiet sometimes and ask myself a question. Am I doing this to push the boundaries, to actually question the boundaries? And am I doing this in a productive, useful kind of way? Or am I just trying to be difficult? And one of the stories I really enjoy is a story we find in Luke 13, when Jesus gets confronted by some of these Jewish scholars and leaders because he healed somebody on the Sabbath. And he immediately replies and he goes, "You guys are being hypocrites because you take your donkeys and your cows out for water to have a drink. Yet when I heal somebody on the Sabbath, it is all wrong." And I don't think Jesus was being careless in any way. I think he was really trying to tell them that when it comes to compassion and human kindness, it comes way before rules and the law specifically. And I think this is very important when it comes to photography and art as well. So we've been looking at different photography techniques, and sometimes I made the mistake of calling them rules or my rules. But I really think that all these things should be put aside sometimes, and that we should really focus on what am I trying to say and how do I want to make my audience or people feel by showing them a specific photo. So one of the books that I really enjoyed over the years is a book called Why It Does Not Have to Be in Focus. It's a book by Jackie Higgins, and the full title is Why It Does Not Have to Be in Focus, Modern Photography Explained. Now, if you're someone who thinks every photo needs to be crisp, perfectly framed, and technically flawless, I can really recommend this book. So essentially, Higgins challenges the traditional idea that sharpness equals quality in photography. She showcases over 100 works from contemporary photographers who've thrown the rule book out of the window. Instead of focusing on perfection, they play with blurs, distortion, and even chaos to create images that grab your attention and make you feel something deeper. Just think about it. How often do we scroll past technically perfect photos without a second thought? But when you see something a little off, maybe blurry or abstract, it just makes you pause, right? That's exactly the point Higgins is trying to make. She's saying, hey, sometimes the imperfections tell a more powerful story than all these polished images. One example from this book discusses Hiroshi Sugimoto's blurred seascapes, where the lack of sharp focus creates a timeless and meditative quality, emphasizing mood over detail. This approach illustrates how modern photographers use blurs, abstraction, and unconventional techniques to evoke emotion and provoke thought, rather than just documenting reality. And what I really love about this book is how it connects photography to a broader artistic movement. Higgins doesn't just show these striking images, she explains the thought process behind them. You get a glimpse into how artists use unconventional methods to express emotions, challenges social norms, or capture fleeting moments that traditional photography might miss. So if you're into photography or just curious about how art evolves, I highly recommend you checking out this book. It's thought-provoking, and it makes you question not what photography is, but what photography can be. So let's talk about focus. So in photography, focus refers to how sharply defined your subject appears in an image. Different types of focus techniques are used to direct attention, convey emotions, or create artistic effects. This is some of the main types of focus when it comes to photography. Firstly, manual focus. So I've had the privilege of using a lot of manual focus lenses. They, first of all, great fun to use, and also a lot less expensive than your autofocus lenses. So manual focus is when you adjust the lens focus ring yourself. It gives you precise control, and you can use this in low light conditions or when doing something like macro portrait photography. The next and the most obvious one is autofocus, the way we use cameras today. Subtypes of autofocus includes single AF focus. It's where the focus locks once the shutter is half pressed in, and it's very good for taking pictures of still subjects. Then you have something that we call continuous focus. It continuously adjusts the focus as your subject moves along. And then you get something that we call automatic focus. That's when the camera switches between your single focus and your continuous photos automatically. So some types of focusing techniques would include selective focus, where you want only a specific part of your image to be sharp and the rest to be blurred. We can achieve this by using wide apertures, like for example f1.8. Then deep focus, that's exactly the opposite. That's where everything from your background to your foreground is in sharp focus. You can achieve this by using small apertures, like for example f16 or smaller. We can use this in landscape photography, or if you want to take a photo with the storytelling abilities, you can create this by using deep focus as well. So some techniques we can use when focusing, one of them that I want to discuss is called focus pulling. That's when you shift the focus from one subject to another in a single shot. And we more commonly use this when creating video. And then zone focusing. It's when you pre-focus a specific distance range where subjects are expected to enter. So for example, you would pre-focus your lens, and you would wait, for example, say 50 meters. You would wait for that moving object to go past your frame and then take the photo, and the photo will be in focus. This is very useful when we're doing something like street photography or sports photography. And then the last one is soft focus. So we often use this in fine art photography. It's when you intentionally take a photo without it being in focus by creating blurs and that dreamy kind of romantic look. We often use this in portraiture and, like I said, in fine art photography especially. So if you've read this book, or you have any thoughts about unconventional photography or fine art photography, please leave me a comment and tell me what you think. And if you are an artist or a photographer and you want to explore fine art photography, please let me know as well. I really think it's very important for us to remember that we might have all these rules and these guidelines, and yes, they are important, but sometimes we have to go beyond that, and we have to remember that the photo is really about the story and about the feeling you convey by taking pictures or creating art. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you soon.